I'm sure you would have.
With those tests going to one LV.
No.
Oh, the elevator is about 2 stories.
Wait, is there a basement?
It's where we put all the bad kids. No, there's no basement. All right. On the don't freeze.
Wait, is there actually a basement?
On the boards. All right, here we go. No, I'm not going to do this super fast. I'll do it at whatever pace we need to be. But I would like to cover the whole thing in class period. So I have 25 things we got to go over. What you see in front of you combined with what you got yesterday is the entire semester final. If it's not on this, it's not on the semester final. If it's not on this or the one you got yesterday, it's not on the semester final. When you make your resource card, you should take yesterday's and today's and make your resource card whatever it takes appropriate for you. You're not going to forget how to take the square root of 9. It doesn't need to be on your resource card. If you're like, wait, what's a square root? Oh, yeah. On your resource card, you should put your perfect squares. The perfect squares that you need to remember, keep it. Perfect squares that you need to remember are 4, 9, 16.
Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I have Gabby Cerna to the office for a moment, please?
She's on her way. 25, 36, 49, the first 16. Okay? All right. What's the square root of 9?
3.
Does anyone not know how to take the square root? Okay. Can you have a negative inside a square root symbol?
Yes.
No.
Yes. On the outside you can't.
Okay, what's the square root of negative 9?
-3.
Because negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 9,
Yes. No.
which is why you can't have a negative on the inside. You can, however, have the negative on the outside. What's the negative square root of 9?
It's the same thing.
Let's say negative 3 times negative 3. What is a negative 3 times negative 3? Not negative 9. That's why there's not a square root of negative 9. But with a negative on the outside, it really reads subtract the square root of 9. So in other words, subtract 3. Be ready for that. Okay. What's the square root of 0?
0.
What's the square root of 1?
0, 1.
Okay. Those are typically the tricky ones. You are responsible for the first 16 perfect squares, all the way up through 256. In other words, 16 squared. All right. I'm not going to go over that one or that one. The answer here is
Negative 12.
Can you do the nearest 10 point?
negative 11. That's the one I want to look at. All right. You need to have your first 16 perfect squares written on your paper. All right. We've arrived at the first one that we got to remember. Most of you probably remember. Some of you don't. First 16 perfect squares for those that need to have it written. I forget which one was absent yesterday. Did you get the sheet or not get the sheet? Okay, cool. All right. The goal here is to squeeze the square root of 125. In other words, pick the 2 perfect squares, right,
I remember these.
that are slightly smaller and slightly bigger. The slightly smaller one would be, that's slightly smaller. Yeah, well, 144 is not smaller than 125. Thank you. Square root of 121. I'm keeping the square root symbol. 144 is a 1 slightly bigger. Now we know the square root of 121 is
11.
And the square root of 144 is, so I already know the number is between.
And it's only 111.
Look at the answers. Now we're going to go a little bit further, but I'm just saying it is going to be a multiple choice test. If you're lucky, that's the case. Now let's just say there were a couple, by the way, it's between 11 and 12. There's only one number here between 11 and 12D. So you're done. But I'm saying, what happens if they gave you 3 answers that were between 11 and 12? I don't make the computer does. So let's see how we refine our answer. Is 125 closer to 121 or 144? Okay, remember, if it was smack dab in the middle, if 125 was smack dab in the middle between 121, then it would be 11.5. But it's closer over here And it's kind of close, but not, I mean, 122 would be really close. 11.1. So this is kind of close, so you can see why the answer is 11.2. It's probably 11.23 or something like that, but they rounded it to nearest 10. Do you remember doing this?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do one more. Next one. Oh my gosh. All right, 86, square root of 86, two perfect squares.
81 and 100. So 9 and 10.
Nope, why did I write 6? 80.
81 and 100.
That's why. 81 and 100. Okay, well, that's 9 and 10. Look at the answers.
9.3.
Well, there's two answers
But it's closer to 100.
because it's really close to that, really far away from 81.
Yeah. And
How many numbers between 81 and
Five.
how many numbers between 86 and 100?
Like 14.
So it's closer to 100. Oh.
Oh.
All right.
Wait, then which one is it?
Which is it closer to?
81. But which one is it? I don't know. 9.6.
Because what's in the middle between 9 and 10? What's in the middle?
Five.
Right. And you just told me, is it closer to there or is it closer to there?
There.
So what? Give me some numbers.
Oh,
Oh, okay. All right. I should make video recordings of that. All
Oh,
right.
it's on.
So it's 9.3, right?
9.2.
All right.
Remember, the answers are on the sheet as well.
7 and 8 are hard.
Okay. Here we go. The very next chapter, that was it for that one. I'm sorry, in this chapter was the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean
82
theorem
plus
says the
B2
following. It
is
says
32.
that if you have a right triangle, that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, there's one problem. C must be,
The hypotenuse.
it must be the longest side, the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always opposite
Of
the right angle. I can turn that right triangle any way, on its side, flip it over. It's flipped over now, right? You're expecting the hypotenuse to be one of the angled ones. And this time it's the base, the bottom. You need to make sure you 100% understand where you find the hypotenuse. It's the side that's opposite the right angle. So C here is the value 4, but I got to square it. Is 3 A or B, or does it make a difference? Doesn't make a difference. I'll call it A. Doesn't make a difference.
What's one closer to 4?
Doesn't make a difference. It's just one of them is A and one of them is B.
Whoa, wait, okay. We can't really technically just know what this is because D1 plus 3 is 4.
That's not how it works.
Oh,
That's
but
fine.
It's squared.
but it,
I'm going to throw the numbers in and we're going to do the math.
okay.
So let's see. 3 we'll call it A, and it's got to be squared plus B squared. Let's solve. 3 squared is?
9.
4 squared is?
16.
18. Oh, 8.
16.
What we got to do to both sides?
25.
Oh, subtract, not add. So we get B squared, subtract 9 from both sides, we get,
Five.
Right.
7.
then we not square 7, we got to take the
Divide by 7.
square root. Take the square root of both sides,
14.
which is why you had that previous class, or previous,
14, right?
no, it's not squared, it's square root.
So nothing goes into 7.
Agreed, which is why we have to do what you just literally did on the previous problem. What two perfect squares squeeze the square root of 7?
9 and 4.
What? Why 9?
Because it's the next perfect square.
Oh, I thought you meant like 9, like as in like 9.
Square root of 4 is,
2,
the square root of 9 is,
3.
it's somewhere between 2 and 3. Look at the answers. There's two possibilities.
8.
Hey, what's in the middle? Is 7 closer to 4 or is it closer to 9?
9.
How far away is it from 9?
5.
How far is 7 away from 4? So it's close. I mean, smack dab in the middle will be 2.5. It's just a little bit hair over here, which is why the answer is 2.6. Are you following that logic? It's important that you put that middle thing there. You can either literally write it out or you can think about it, but you got to think about it. This right here, the thing that Kai was having problems on, this is what will keep you from getting it right or let you get it right or keep you from getting it, no, keep you from getting it wrong or allow you to get it right. That's what I wanted to say. Is understanding that where the middle is compared to where your number is, square root of 7, compared to the square root of 4, square root of 9. Hey, it's 3 away from 4, but it's 2 away from 9. It's closer to 9. So it's not 2.5, it's bigger than 2.5. Yeah. You see this equation right here? Are you okay up to here? Subtract 9 from both sides. Then you get b squared is equal to 7. Take the square root of both sides.
Yes, my question.
You okay?
Yeah.
Pythagorean theorem comes in 2 flavors. One when you're solving for a,
B or A,
and then one when you're solving for a
C.
hypotenuse. You're either solving for a leg or you're solving for a hypotenuse. So let's see one we're solving for a leg.
Oh, 9 or 10.
I'm sorry, solving one we're solving for the hypotenuse. Sorry.
Mine are 8, 10, whatever.
Yes.
They're both the same thing.
All right.
Oh, never mind.
Notice the side opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse. That's the one that's missing. That's the one we solve for. So A is 12. Well, so is B. And it's not 12, it's 12 squared in the Pythagorean theorem. And C is your either X or C squared. It doesn't
This
matter.
makes no sense.
Speak.
Squared is
Speak.
144.
What doesn't make sense?
No, we the problem. Like
What doesn't make sense?
the numbers. And how the
Well,
numbers-
I got the number from right here.
no, I mean like doing like when you gotta do the problem.
Well, we haven't done it yet.
I know, but like it doesn't make sense.
Let's do the problem. Tell me where it doesn't make sense. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, stop me when it doesn't make sense. 12 squared is 144. 12 squared is 144.
Right there.
12 squared is 144.
Yeah, but when you add it,
We're not there yet. I said stop me when it stops making sense. Equals x squared. Now it's just, I do whatever it tells me to do. It literally says to add, so we add. That's what, 288
Yeah.
equals x squared. What do we got to do to both sides?
Take the square root.
Take the square root.
Yeah. Oh.
Our problem is, guess what? Our biggest number is that we can square is 256. Remember, 16 squared is 256. Well, we got a number that's a little bit bigger than 256, so it's got to be bigger than.
16,
Well, look at your answers.
17.
It's either 17 or 17.6. I will not put one like this. I didn't even notice that. I will not put one of those on the test. I can't. I told you to memorize the first 16 perfect squares. The largest number we have is 256. You could figure this out pretty quickly. 17 squared is, well, let's see if it's 288. 7 times 7 is,
49.
40.
is that an 8?
No,
Yes.
17.5.
Can't be 17.
Oh,
So it's got to be A. But I will promise you, I will give you a question where the perfect squares are bigger than 16.
What if it's 24?
Can't be.
How's that A?
Because we got 256 for 16 squared, and the answer is 288.
Okay.
18 squared is way bigger than that.
I'm just.
All right. Questions on Pythagorean theorem? How many did I give you for practice?
4.
All right, you have 4. Do all 4 if that's what you're weak on.
Done.
Should be easy points.
There's difference between.
All right, now we come to the first one where you probably don't even remember doing this.
Nope.
I'm not-
Oh,
Yes, Abby.
How many pieces do
2 pages, front and back. Regular note size paper.
I remember the formula.
All right.
X1 plus
No, it's
XY.
square. It's the parentheses squared.
If we put both of your heads together, maybe we could get to the
I'm not
equation.
putting my head.
Is X
equals-
square is X?
X1
X.
plus
Right.
Wait, no. Sorry.
Oh,
It's
no,
Y2 plus Y2 plus,
But
or is it minus?
We put 3 of their heads together, we still couldn't come up with it.
Wait, okay, first, is it
X1
plus
plus
or minus?
X.
Is it
Jace,
plus
do you
or
remember?
minus?
Is it D equals the square root of everything with the, okay, I
We
don't
put 4 people to, no,
Okay.
we all better
I
write
got
this
it.
down.
Wait, no, I
That's-
remember.
There it is.
Not beta.
And then
It's parentheses.
Y2.
X1
Doesn't
plus
matter
X2.
whether it's X or Y, the book always goes with X first. So it's X2 minus X1 squared plus Y2 minus Y1 squared. And it really doesn't matter if you do the y's first and then the x, but it does matter that it goes something 2 minus something 1. Put your hand down, write this down. None of you remembered it.
Nope.
You remember parts of it clearly. It's just not that memorable in 8th grade. By the time you get to high school, not even next year, but by the time you get to geometry, because you're going to use it in Algebra 1, we're going to use it in geometry, you're going to use it in Algebra 2, you're going to use it in pre-calculus, you're going to use it in calculus, you memorize it
How
eventually.
do you remember it?
Because I've taken all those courses. You use it so many times that you memorize it.
Wait,
Write it
I
down.
did.
All right,
Doesn't the
let's do one. We'll do this one. Label, it doesn't matter which one is 0.1, 0.2. I always pick the first one as 0.1, not because it's better, just the way I do it.
What point?
So x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay? Whether I'm doing slope, whether I'm doing distance formula, whether I'm doing midpoint, the first one's always 0.1, the second one's point. Just the way I go. Others of you, like I've had students argue, wait, it's easier if you make the first one. Well, it's different. It's not easier, but it's easier for you once that's your pattern. Pick a pattern, stick to it. You want the first one to be 0.1, the second one 0.2, do that. You want the first one to be 2, and the second one, do that. It's entirely up to you.
Where you getting 0.1 and 0.2?
One of them has to be 0.1, one of them has to be 0.2. It's the distance of a
Oh,
segment.
I thought you were trying
So
to
you
point
have
out
2 points, 0.1, 0.2.
I thought you meant like 0.1 and then 0.2.
No.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
No, you didn't. He did, but you didn't. All right, here we go. I'm just plugging in numbers. What will happen is, and we saw it on the test, is it's a pain in the butt to write that long square root symbol, right? So guess what happens?
They cancel each other out.
No.
How?
They do it on the other one.
They tell themselves like, well, I'll remember to put it in at the very end, and then they forget.
Right?
Okay.
0.4, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's a common mistake. So we put big long square root symbol, we plug in the numbers. It says x2 is -1. There's a minus sign, and x1 is 0. We close parentheses and we square it.
Why don't they?
We put a plus symbol. Just write this down. If you actually do the work and you have a question, I'm happy to answer it. But if you're just sitting there, what's up?
Do we have to put the -1 instead of the 0?
Well, the way I label them, yes.
Okay.
If you had chosen this to be your 0.2, yours would be opposite of mine.
Okay.
You would still have a -1, but you'd have a -1. Y2 is -2 minus, there's a minus sign. There's another -2 squared. The other common mistake is you forget the squares, and then you just get kind of lost. You don't look at the formula. You look at the formula, it'll tell you exactly what to write, what's pluses and what's minuses. Yeah,
So does it matter if like 0 is x1 or x2?
doesn't matter. It's your choice. But as soon as you decide that this is 0.1 and this is 0.2, everything gets a 1 here, everything gets a 2. You want to do it the other way around, which I said already. You want to call that 2 and 1, well then both of these are 2 and both those are 1.
Would you get the same?
You'll get the same answer.
Okay.
And the reason is because of the squaring.
Oh.
Think about it. What's 2 minus 3?
2, 1,
-1.
Squared.
1. 1,
What's 3 minus 2?
1,
Squared. You get the same answer.
Oh.
1. But don't
Okay?
when you
Only because of squaring. If I get rid of the squaring, the top one's -1, the bottom one's 1. But as soon as I square, it makes everything positive. Yes,
Don't you get a positive when you square negative?
yes.
Oh. Why did you leave me?
Did I just not say that?
I didn't
I
hear
don't
you.
want to hear it.
How
Okay.
frustrated do you get with us?
Not very. I act like I'm frustrated, but it's my life as a math teacher.
I know, but like how
First couple of
frustrated do
years,
you
I
get
got
with
frustrated
any of your
because I would say things like 4 times, and then I had a senior teacher say, "Hey, why are you getting frustrated? That's just how it is." Right? You have a group of 30 kids, 20 of them are paying attention, 10 of them are not, and then you're going to have those 10 people ask, that's just your lot in life.
So why don't the?
All right, here we go. -1 minus 0 is squared is
1.
-2 plus 2.
0.
Oh, that's nice. Because 0 squared is just
0.
square root of 1.
1.
and you're done.
Oh,
So
C.
a negative
So it's just.
squared is a positive.
Okay, there's 3. Who's gonna be the 4th person?
Well, I was just making sure.
I literally just said I'll get the same question asked 4 times.
Oh.
Right, 1, 2, 3. All right,
You're close.
all right. One more.
No,
I know. Yes,
All right, let's do one more caller, and then you can ask your question. All right. Most of the time, if you stick with it, the questions will be answered when you do the problem. All right, here we go. Hey, notice I didn't change anything because it's the same setup. Okay. So big long square root symbol, because the previous one that was pretty easy. We had a 0 and square root of 1. All right, here we go. It says x2 is 1. There's a minus sign and a negative 2 squared. Kids that get really good at this, they won't write any of this. They'll just do the whole thing in their head. And it can be done. You just gotta be careful. Plus, y2 is
2 minus 1.
2. There's a minus sign.
1 squared.
1 squared. And then squared, and it's 1. Okay. 2 negatives turn into, so that's 1 plus 2, which is squared is.
So it's 10 squared.
And see, some people are, when you get good at this, all of a sudden you know how the story ends, and you're able to jump. And other people are like, what is she saying? 2 minus 1 is
2. 1.
One.
squared,
1.
which gives you
8.
what's the answer?
That's really A.
So the answer is A.
Okay.
Everybody get it? Yes.
So why don't so you see the exponents?
Yeah.
Why don't they cancel out the square root?
Because they're inside, not outside. The squaring is inside the square root, not outside.
So
This is so.
Now they cancel. The squaring is outside, so the squaring would cancel the square root. Where's my squaring? Inside. That's why they don't.
So then when I do like 2 to the second power, then it just goes back to 2 because you do square root.
Agreed, but there's 2 things going on here with an addition symbol. Squaring doesn't get rid of it a plus an addition symbol. Doesn't cancel that out. Okay.
Oh, so you still do it, but
All right. Questions?
No.
So the answer would be A.
Answer would be A.
Where's 8?
Where's what? All right. I did that one first because that's the more challenging one, the easier one, but it kind of looks like the previous one is your midpoint. All right. Once again, I'll have people like Angie who wants to read a book instead of write things down. She'll only look at some of these things
That was, I opened it when Holler was asking the question.
because he never asked a good question.
Yeah.
Kind of mean. All right.
I asked you questions, right?
All right. M for midpoint. Write this down, please. Everybody. M for midpoint. Gabby, you remember this one? Now she's
I do.
panicked.
So
What is
x1.
it?
Oh.
M equals x1 plus x2
Yeah.
divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2.
Midpoint's the more memorable one. So as he said, it's x1 plus x2 over 2. Instead of squaring, now we're dividing by 2. So there's a 2 involved, comma in between, because remember, this is a point. Picture. We're trying to find, if I give you this segment, where is the midpoint? Right here.
Yeah.
It's the average of the x values, that's this, and the average of the y values, which is why it says y1 plus y2, right? What's the average? You take the numbers, you add them together, and you divide by how many numbers? Well, we got 2 numbers, I'm dividing by 2. But it literally is a point. The previous one, distance formula, it's a value, and that value equals the distance. Jade, what are you doing? Okay. Make sure you have this written down.
No, he has it.
All right.
And it's multiplied.
Hey, it's a multiple choice test, right?
Yes.
Watch this. You certainly have to at least do 1. All right, let's do the x values. It says add the x values. Add the x values.
-2.
Negative.
Divided by 2.
One.
-1.
That's not a -1. That's not a -1. That's not a -1. That's a -1. Boom, you're done.
What?
It is. I said it's a multiple choice test. So if you're lucky, that happens. If you're not lucky, guess what? You got to do the Y's. Let's do the Y's. Add. What do we get?
-1.
Divided by 2?
1/2.
-1/2. That's not a -1/2. That's not that. That's the that's a -1/2. Okay. Please stop. Okay. All right. Did everybody catch what I did?
Yeah.
No.
By the way, we should probably write this out.
Yeah.
So the two x values are -10 plus 8 over 2, comma. The two y values are 2 minus 3. Like, no, it should be 2 plus -3. Okay, true. That's 2 minus 3 over 2. That gives me a -2 divided by 2 for the x values, which is -1. That gives me a -1 divided by 2. That's a -1/2. There are my two values. Let's answer D. As I said before, it is multiple choice. Use it to your advantage.
Let's do the next one.
This one's
This
harder.
makes no sense.
How come you're not asking a question?
Oh, it's on the next one. It's on the rolling of the dice.
Probability, yeah.
We're not there yet.
That's what I
Good
said.
Lord.
That's
Let's.
what I said. It was on the next one.
So that you didn't mean the next
No.
one. You meant the next one.
No. the
Oh.
next
You
one.
said, let's do the next one. There's the next one.
No. Oh, that's the next one? I thought we just did that one.
No,
All right. Let's see if that trick works for this one. Add the x's.
Negative colors.
Divided by 2. That's a -2. That's not. We're done.
Oh, that's so easy.
I'm gonna struggle.
That's only because it's multiple choice. If we did it for the y's, 10 minus 4 is 10 minus 4 divided by 2. That's a 3. That's not. It's still A. Okay. We okay on midpoint?
Yeah. What's probability?
All right. The next topic is probability. The basic idea of probability says this. The general basic formula, as basic as it gets, is the probability of an event occurring. So the probability of E, an event, is equal to the number of ways to win. No, that's odds.
Oh. God.
Over all outcomes.
How do you figure this one out?
The book, we didn't write it down like that. We wrote the number of favorable outcomes. That just means how many ways there are to win. Okay? All the outcomes are everything that could happen if you play the game. Not all probability uses this, but the easy ones do.
Then wouldn't it be number A because it says all outcomes, which all outcomes are 6-sided dots?
Well, there's also reducing involved.
Yeah.
Let's just do the problem and see what we get. Okay, first off, what does it say? It cut off the words here, but
how many evens you can get in this?
on a 6-sided die, how many even numbers are there?
3.
Hi, how many even numbers are there on a 6-sided die?
6,
Count and
2.
say at the same time.
3,
There are 3. How many things can happen when you roll one die?
3, 6,
Which one?
6.
Reduce the fraction.
1 over 6.
1 over 2.
1/2.
So the answer is?
B.
The answer is B. Now you're like, wait a minute, I kind of remember this being harder. Yeah, because that's the easy one. As we play harder games, sometimes we're drawing 2 things. Sometimes things overlap. Sometimes things are mutually exclusive. Those were the other things. And then lastly, we also did odds.
Number 6.
So how about we do one at a time? So I'm gonna leave that one up there. For the easy of the easy, it says probability, not odds. It says one event. Right? If there are more than one event, well, then those are the other formulas. So let's see what those look like. All right. You got to read it to me because it cut it off.
Okay, if a die has letters What is the probability of one?
Okay, is that one event or is that more than one event?
I'm sorry.
What are the more than one events? More than one event is what's the probability of getting an even or the number 6? You'll see the word or in there. Do you see the word or?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Where?
No.
So this is this formula. What's the probability of doing what?
Getting
Getting a constant. Okay, we're in English class now. Now you got to know the difference between a vowel and a consonant. All right.
Oh, those
How many consonants are there if those are the letters?
two. Oh,
Kai, you need to talk to Mrs. Whoever.
Wait. What'd you say?
4.
I would say vowels. Oh, shoot.
There's 4.
There's 5. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know how to count letters. I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Those are consonants.
I don't know if I thought B was a vowel.
Okay, that's how many ways to win this game. What can happen if you play this game? Well, I can also grab vowels, right?
There's 2.
Yeah, but I can grab all outcomes. That means everything that can happen. I reach in the bag and I pull out a vowel. I reach in the bag, I pull out a consonant. I'm going to assume that's right. I'm not counting.
There's 7, yeah.
There's 7. Well, that's fully reduced. That's the answer. Is that A, B, C, or D?
Nothing.
Nothing. There's no more than.
Apparently I didn't press the button, so there's a button I got to press for multiple choice, and I didn't press the button. All right, 5 7. That's the answer. Is that the answer on the back? Okay, good. All right, next one.
Less than a 4 out of 9.
Oh, odds. Different formula. There are odds in favor, odds against. Does this say against?
Yes.
Where?
Oh, wait. I thought you said.
Where does it say against? If it doesn't say odds against, it's automatically odds in favor. Sometimes they leave. What 8? What are? All right. What are the odds? If it doesn't say odds against, it's odds in favor. So here we go. Odds in favor. Who remembers? Wins over loses. Odds against. I can't spell. Loses over win.
So that would be 4 over 6, right?
AGAINST. Okay. Okay. So is this odds in favor or odds against?
Odds in favor.
Odds in favor. How many ways to win this game?
4
3.
or 6.
How many numbers are less than 4?
3.
How many numbers are not less than 4?
6. 3.
So it's 1 to 1.
1 to 1.
Oh.
You're like, wait a minute, I want the fraction 1 over 1. Remember, fraction in ratio form, odds are almost always written in ratio form. Don't assume just because there's only one answer and it's a ratio, it must be if they're asking about odds. I could be tricky and put it in fraction form as well. It's either 1 over 1 or 1 to 1, either one. I'm not going to write 50-50 or anything like that. That's probability.
50. Wait. What are we gonna put? 1 to 1? Is that?
Well, is that not 1 over 1?
No, it's 2 or 3.
Huh.
Wait, I'm confused.
You reduce the fraction.
So if it's gonna, if we get something like that, it's gonna be 1 over 1 ratio 1.
It's either going to be this answer or it's going to be this answer. It could be either one. It could either be in fraction form or in ratio form. All right. Next one.
Probability.
We got the marble game.
Okay, Marvel.
We doing probability or are we doing odds? What does it say?
Probability.
Probability. We're back to there. Or how many events? There are 2 events. New formula.
Wait,
Remember, we had 2 of these. We had one for mutually exclusive. Those are 2 events that cannot happen at the same time. We had one for overlapping, where literally that's why the definition of overlapping, where two events could happen at the same time. Can these two events happen at the same time?
No.
I reach in, I pull out one marble. Could it be both red and white at the same time?
Yeah.
I pick how?
Because half of it could be red and half of it could be yellow.
Okay. Hey, we're gonna have a talk next year in class. All right. Red or white, there's only, you don't have a choice of pulling out anything other than red or white or what's the other color? Blue. Okay. So this formula, probability of A or B, anybody remember?
Minus overlap.
No.
That's no, this doesn't have overlap. So this is the mutually exclusive one.
The probability of
I don't remember.
plus probability.
Probability of A
Plus.
Times B.
plus the probability of B. The multiplication one is when we're playing the game more than one turn.
Yeah, this is
So-
We roll twice.
this isn't this the test I failed on because I didn't get it?
Clearly. Clearly. Okay. Hey, what's the probability of A? A is red.
5 marbles.
Out of?
Out of 4.
10.
Ah,
11.
11.
Yeah.
11.
11. No, right.
Plus.
Plus the.
Probability of white.
4 of 11. Over 11.
And so therefore the answer is,
9 over 11.
which is C. Yes?
So yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, can we write?
Abby.
I'm confused on the one we did before.
I'm sorry, one more time.
I'm confused on the odds.
Okay, the odds are just wins over loses. So it sort of feels like you're doing probability, you're not, your odds. So it's just the number of ways to win over the number of ways to lose. If this was an odds problem, right? It would be how many ways to win the game, how many ways to lose the game, right? This one's always going to be a probability one for us, okay? So for instance, rolling a die. Let's say you want to win the game, it's roll your number smaller than 5. Smaller than 5, that's win. How many numbers are smaller than 5? How many are not smaller than 5? Count.
Oh.
6-sided dice.
One.
Count.
2.
Which numbers are not smaller than 5?
Oh, 6. 2.
What are those numbers?
5.
You got it. So there you go.
5 is
No.
Now I would need to reduce
But
this
it's not equal to, it's less than.
2 to 1. Okay? Win, lose. If this was probability, Abby, there's probability. There's odds. Probability says all outcomes. There's 6 things that can happen. Odds say how many ways to lose? 2. Okay. By the way, check this out, Abby. What's 4 plus 2? That will always equal all your outcomes. For odds, if you add the 2 numbers, it always equals the bottom number of probability. We use them interchangeably as well too. Some could ask for probability, some could ask for odds. All right, how many numbers we got left? 2 left? 1 left? What?
No, we have that mean, medium, most.
All right.
Wisdom.
Are you ready for your Christmas present?
Yes.
All right, everybody stop what you're doing and listen.
Fine or mean.
I'm about to give you a Christmas present.
Oh, I don't like
Okay, if there was something that was missed universally, it was calculating the mean. So let's not do it.
Yeah.
Okay. However, how do you calculate mean? How do you calculate mean, Gabe?
So you take them in order from
No.
least to greatest.
How do you calculate mean?
I'm all up in the by my numbers.
What about you?
Thank you for spoiling his fun. You add all the numbers up and divide by how many numbers? Let's not do it.
Oh, I thought.
Instead, how about we do the easiest one, chi, which is the easiest one? Mode, median, mean, or range, which is always the easiest one for you. Oh, good Lord, that's second hardest. Mode. Okay. Here are your numbers. What number is repeated the most times? 10. Not 10. Not 10. Not 10. You're done. Now, will that always work? No. But there's two easy ones. Mode is easy, and how do you calculate range?
The biggest small.
Biggest minus smallest. What's the biggest number? What's the smallest number? What's 10.5 minus 6?
Oh,
Not 4.5. Not 4.5. Not 4.5. Somewhere, listen carefully, I'll close this up. Somewhere between mode and range, you're going to find the answer without doing mean or median. All right, so for this one only, you got a Christmas present. Now, we do need to finish stem and leaf.
Next one.
Hold on. Look at the mode. 3 of them are the same, 1 of them is different. Now look at the range. They're all the same. It is possible that if A is not the answer here, you might have to do median. But look at the median. Well, besides 1, you might have to do a mean. All right. Last 2 things before the bell rings. Stem and leaf plot. I'm sorry, box and whiskers. Hey, stop what you're doing. Listen. Look at all the answers. What is the one thing that's different in all the answers?
They're all different.
They're not.
Well, because at the
How big the box is?
The box looks,
the number line.
what's the middle point right here? 20, well, this would be 25, 20. What's the middle point right here?
25.
What's the middle point?
20.
What's the middle point?
25.
This one might, these might be the, no, they're all different. Now, this one and that one might be a little bit different. No, this one goes up to 40. I got 40, 35, 40. Point being is that you don't need to do the entire thing. You just need to do as much as you do in the process of making it until you get to the, every step you do, check your answers. We put the numbers from least to greatest. We find Q2, smack dab in the middle point. Q2 is this number right here. With the exception of these 2, every number is different. We can narrow it down between, I don't know if A and B are the right answers, but if A and B are the right answers, well, then we've eliminated 2.
Can we do like what we do in like the road, the median, just like cross them off?
That's how you find the median.
Yeah, and then you can just cross.
Agreed, but you still have to find that answer. Okay? Step number 1, put them in the least to greatest. Step number 2, find Q2. Step number 3, find the median of the first half and the median of the second half. The median of the first half is Q1. The median of the second half is Q3. If you're really lucky, the whiskers will be different. Their whiskers are all the same here. Remember, the whiskers are the biggest and the smallest number of the data set. Yeah. Well, agreed, but if this was different, this is 70, that's 70, that's 70, that's 70, so, or 75. So this one is 70, but I got 2 of them are 75. The biggest number is 75, so it can't be D, can't be A, it's either C or B. But notice, C and, oh, they got the same thing. Do they have the same smallest number? Yeah, they do. So this one's going to require you to do the most work. C and B both have the same Q2s, I think, right? Oh, no, they don't. So you would be done after Q2. As soon as you found Q2, you'd be done for that one.
Who said it was B?
All right.
Someone said it was B.
What's the last thing we got? Stem and leaf plots. Stem and leaf plots. I agree. All right. Stem and leaf plot. Let me make this small so we can look at all the answers. Okay. It is a multiple choice test. You guys look at your numbers on the paper. Hey, do all of them start at 3?
Yes.
Except for 1. What's the smallest number in the data set? Look at your paper.
39.
Is it 39?
Yeah.
Therefore, it can't be B.
I knew
Okay. How many 30s do we have?
1.
Just 1?
Yep.
So it can't be,
A.
can't be A. Hey, this stem and leaf plot goes all the way up to
8.
Is there any 80s?
No,
Yes.
Which one is 80, Kai?
Oh, sorry. I was like,
So therefore, the answer must be
C.
You did that without making any charts. That's just using common sense. Did everybody see the common sense that I used there?
Yes.
You might have to check 2 rows, maybe. Okay? If you're lucky, it works exactly what I just did. Are there any questions that I left that I haven't covered?
no.
All right. Now I would absolutely force yourself to make that box and whiskers plot. Do it just for practice so you can become familiar. Stem and leaf plot, I'm just going to say, what I just did right there, you're going to find the answer by doing what I did. Guaranteed. They give us a multiple choice test. You can simply look to see what their answers are. You can tease that out just from the information. Okay? Any questions? Tomorrow, make sure you bring both resource or both practice tests. Tomorrow, we're going to do one of 2 things. You're either going to be studying for math or you're going to be studying for any other subject. What you're not going to be doing is talking to your neighbors, sitting there and doing nothing. I will take off points from your test on semester final if, in my opinion, you're doing nothing. Okay? You don't have to study math. You can study anything. Tomorrow's also available for the kid who's like, hey, I still can't calculate range or mode or median. I still can't do those probability ones. Give me some help. So we're not going to be in test mode, but we're going to be in study for test mode tomorrow, which will allow me to help others. For those of you who want to turn in your books, make sure you turn in your books. If you do not turn in your book tomorrow, then you only have one other day to turn it in, and that's when is test day?
Wednesday.
Is it first or second Wednesday?
I think I can pull up the calendar.
I could,
It's second. But I know we start PE.
but there's usually some smart kid that has this memorized.
She does. No, I have it on Monday.
All right. What's your first test on Monday?
We have Latin.
If it was me, I wouldn't even look at anything involving math this weekend. I would be studying for Mondays and Tuesdays finals. And then on Monday and Tuesday, start working on your math.
Yeah, I see no more resources.
Yeah, but remember, we're not going to do any math until Wednesday. We're not going to do math tomorrow, probably. You're going to probably be studying for something else. So if you wait until Wednesday night to look at this, it might be too late at that point. Christian, can you?
Oh, sure. Good.
Yes.
I'll just remind you.
All right, that's it. Pack it up.
Not the paper math book.
You don't turn it in, you will. Yeah. Yeah.
These are my paper now.
Bring it to me.
Ooh, baby.
I'm not taking that.
No, not now.
Look at it. All right, open it up. Go through it.
I was like, wait, what am I doing wrong? I'll go behind.
What's your number?
MS0010. Thank you.
I feel like it's
Thank you.
Why I'm just gonna.
Okay.
No senior grade.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
We have 5 minutes left.
Where? I didn't say for anyone to leave.
Oh, God.
I just said pack it up.
They all left.
You're good.
And we.
Mr. Shorty, I most likely will not be in here tomorrow because I'm being.
All I need is your book. That's the only thing you owe me.
I'm gonna bring it in at MSA.
All right.
But yeah, I may not be in here just because of testing for English.
Okay.
Because tomorrow we only have 30 minutes in each class.
Hey, where's your calculator? Let me see it. Zipper broke. Okay, never mind. We found a calculator, looks like yours, but
Oh, that might be Mr. Surratt's. Because Mr. Surratt has a calculator that looks just like mine.
Yeah.
That he uses for science, and he doesn't know where it is.
mm-hmm.
So that might be his.
How did it wind up in my classroom?
Someone probably took it from his class, didn't give it back. Took it.
Your sister said, that's David's. I was like, ah, maybe they all look alike.
Something.